Let's now bring in political analysis on the involvement of the Gupta brothers in South Africa and state capture. We're now joined via Zoom by political analyst Professor Susan Booysen. It's always a pleasure to see you, Prof. Thanks very much for availing yourself to SABC News as always.
Thank you, Flo.
Prof, let's start here. I mean, what is the, alleged crimes of the Gupta family say about South Africa? I mean, I was speaking to a criminologist yesterday who said we're basically living in a lawless society. But what does it say about our society, about South Africa and our politicians, and also especially on the back of what's happening now and questions being asked around the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, and his Palapala farm in Limpopo?
Yes, indeed, Flo. It is a huge indictment of the state of South African politics. Now, on the one hand, there's the Gupta brothers, and it's an era of suspension, of expectation that people do not know what the outcome is going to be around their possibly being extradited to South Africa. And yet it simultaneously holds the antithesis to the promise that it could bring resolution of state capture issues. Because on the one hand, yes, there's a glimmer of hope, even if it may take quite a few years, some say 2 to 5 years, for the Guptas actually to land on South African shores, if that happens. But on the other hand, domestically inside South Africa, that problem of corruption, of possible corruption by a president, possible issues of money laundering and running a type of alternative state investigative apparatuses to sort issues, that is internalized. That is simultaneously, while we're still pursuing the old former President Zuma, it is also right in the midst of South African politics here at home. And whereas in the case of Zuma, there was seemingly a solution, like step down, step aside. There is a better alternative. Then it was Ramaphosa waiting in the wings. This time around, when people say, perhaps with some credibility and justified in some way, step aside, let investigations take their course, there's the immediate question there that there is no real alternative at this stage to take the place of the president who may be implicated, although President Ramaphosa is still fighting it all the way. But it is a huge, huge problem and really a crisis, not a crisis like the system is immediately exploding, but it holds the air of a prolonged political crisis that's not going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah. Prof, I mean, how possible really is it? And is it embarrassing for South Africa, this whole situation regarding the Guptas? I mean, we had a whole state capture inquiry, as you rightly mentioned, and even there we have failed to, get anyone really arrested. Our own former South African ministers and people holding high positions who were allegedly corrupted by the Guptas, and now, wanting to have the Guptas in South Africa and behind bars. Is that even a reality when we have failed to even put, our own former ministers and so forth behind bars who were supposedly involved with the Guptas, and some, in fact, confirming that they were involved?
Yes, indeed. You've hit it on the head. It is truly embarrassing situation in many respects for South Africa. The Zondo Commission of Inquiry is coming to a close now, and there will be final reports. So far, there have been minimal direct recommendations to prosecute against the Gupta brothers, and that really reflects on the conditions in the rest of the fight against corruption in South Africa. There's so many promises. There was so much hope at one stage in South African politics, also when President Ramaphosa first came to power, that this would be the definitive moment, that it would be a new page, cleaned up society, cleaned up politics, and yet this is not coming to fruition. And that is the great tragedy, really, of contemporary politics in South Africa. I think that South Africans generally have lost, and if they not already have, they are fast losing that confidence that this could be a definitive turnaround, that there is an alternative to this type of corrupt, state-captured, patronage-driven politics in South Africa. That has really become the political culture, so diffuse, so entrenched throughout South Africa. And the most embarrassing is that for the ANC, that its own great hope, the voice of Ramaphosa and his associates, to bring that cleaner form of government to South Africa, less corruption, etc., that has been dealt a serious blow. Yeah. And yes, it is not definitive at this stage, but it all reeks of many, many wrongdoings.
Yeah. Prof, you rightly say that, it seems as though South Africans are losing trust and confidence. What would it take really for government and really politicians to once again gain that trust and respect and confidence that it seems so lost? I mean, we can't go on like that. We have so many South Africans who are saying we actually have no faith in anything of corruption being dealt with. I mean, even what's now come out regarding the president's farm, it's a bit of a damper, isn't it? So what more there needs to be done to gain that confidence and trust?
Well, Flo, that is such a vexed question. What ideally we would need is a new generation of political leaders, even just a new culture of political leaders who do not fall into these traps and who are truly seen. And that sounds so idealistic and so far-fetched nowadays in so many ways. But you truly want to serve people, who want to work with people, want to represent people and their interests, want to fight for those interests and not for themselves and for their own privileged positions. That is what we really, really need. But we definitely do not see that culture rising either in ANC or in other political parties. And that really means that is a kind of a dismal dystopian answer to your question. We know what has to happen in South Africa, but we do not see the chance of that happening anytime soon, if at ever. And that sadly also reflects on politics broadly and multi-party politics and credibility and veracity of elections and the extent to which citizens, voters can still truly believe in voting for political parties to make things better and to govern in their interests.
Yeah. All right, Prof, always a pleasure talking to you and seeing you. Thanks very much. Keep well.
Thank you.
All right, that is Professor Susan Booysen, political analyst, weighing in, of course, on the political landscape, particularly while we're talking about the Guptas. And, of course, as we know, the Gupta brothers have been arrested in Dubai.